Pliny the Elder called him the gloomiest of men. History remembers Tiberius as a paranoid tyrant, a man who ruled the Roman world through terror and debauchery from an isolated island fortress. But this statue of his predecessor, Augustus, points to a different reality. Augustus built the empire on a brilliant illusion called the Principate, a system where he held absolute monarchical power, but dressed it up to look exactly like the free republic of old. To survive his death, this illusion strictly required another charismatic heir from his own Julian bloodline. But Augustus's preferred successors kept dying prematurely. Desperate to keep the republic's corpse propped up, Augustus built a succession trap, one that would ensnare Rome's most capable yet most reluctant soldier. Out of sheer necessity, Augustus turned to his stepson, Tiberius. He was a stern, highly effective general from the ancient Claudian aristocratic family, not Augustus's own Julian line. To force Tiberius into that bloodline, Augustus demanded an immense personal sacrifice. He ordered Tiberius to divorce the woman he deeply loved, Vipsania, and marry Augustus's highly scandalous daughter, Julia. Tiberius despised the sycophantic, lethal political theater of Rome. He was a soldier who understood the brutal, honest logic of the military camps along the frontier, and he deeply resented being dragged into his stepfather's charade. Tiberius never wanted the throne. When he finally took power, he didn't view it as an ambitious conquest. He saw it as a bitter, dutiful burden. In 14 CE, Augustus died, and 56-year-old Tiberius assumed control of the entire Roman world. He immediately shifted the empire toward a standardized, professionalized civil service, Tiberius delegating authority to a reliable chain of governors who managed the provinces and collected taxes under a set of rigid, central imperial policies. This gold aureus shows Tiberius formalizing the empire, replacing Augustus with his severe profile projected stability. The reverse's seated figure projects an illusion of peace. Ironically, while maintaining peace abroad, he despised the politicians at home, calling the Senate men fit to be slaves. Administrative brilliance and professional governors kept the borders secure, but they offered absolutely no protection against the crushing psychological toll of managing an empire built entirely on lies. The cracks began to show when his popular nephew, Germanicus, died mysteriously in the east. Germanicus's widow immediately blamed Tiberius, launching a relentless political vendetta that the emperor could not ignore. Then, in 23 CE, Tiberius's own son, Drusus, died suddenly. It was only discovered years later that Drusus hadn't fallen ill. He had been poisoned by his own wife in a calculated murder. The Great Cameo of France shows the densely packed Julio-Claudian dynasty. Augustus's forced intermarriages turned the court into a claustrophobic viper's nest. Though commissioned to project family unity, the deified dead hovering above actually highlight a mounting body count of assassination and betrayal. Watching his heirs systematically exterminated finally broke his spirit. The dutiful, pragmatic soldier was gone, replaced by a deeply paranoid recluse. In 26 CE, Tiberius made a fatal, unusual decision. He completely abandoned the capital city and retreated to Villa Jovis, a sprawling, fortified stone palace on the remote island of Capri. His absence proved that the Roman state could function as an automated machine. The bureaucracy was now so formalized that tax collection, border security, and the courts continued to operate without the emperor's physical presence. But this automated system turned lethal in the hands of his praetorian prefect, Sejanus. He used the established legal structure to launch a reign of terror, utilizing treason trials to purge rivals and dismantle Tiberius's remaining family. The Principate had been designed specifically to prevent the aristocracy from shedding each other's blood. Now, it had violently mutated into a self-sustaining machine for elite slaughter. The climax arrived in 31 CE. From his isolated fortress, Tiberius finally intercepted evidence that Sejanus was plotting to overthrow him. He didn't march an army on Rome. Instead, Tiberius orchestrated a swift shadow strike from Capri, smuggling a single letter to the Senate that resulted in Sejanus's sudden arrest and execution. What followed was a bloodbath in the capital. Tiberius unleashed a wave of vengeful purges against anyone even loosely associated with the conspiracy. Discovering the ultimate betrayal by his most trusted confidant permanently shattered whatever remained of Tiberius's sanity and his trust in humanity. When Tiberius died at age 77, his passing went completely unmourned. The Roman crowds openly cheered, chanting, "To the Tiber with Tiberius." His endless paranoia and purges had left the empire entirely in the hands of his only surviving, deeply traumatized heir, Caligula. By spending his final decade running the state from Capri, Tiberius proved the Principate had become a self-sustaining bureaucracy. He had successfully transitioned Rome from a charismatic revolution into a formalized machine that no longer required its leader to be present. Tiberius saved the Roman Empire through grim, cold competence, but the cost was absolute. The system he preserved destroyed the man, leaving behind an institutionalized nightmare.